Hello and welcome to your Roll to Miss podcast. We haven't actually come up with a name for this podcast yet, so I believe our friend Christopher over here, who's got such a dashing and cheeky smile, makes me a little bit nervous actually, has got some good ideas. What are your ideas?
I mean, I wouldn't call them good, but I would call them ideas.
You would describe them as an idea.
It's a brainstorm, there are no bad ideas.
Yeah.
Well, there are some bad ideas.
In a brainstorm, to get the brain juices churning.
Why not?
Well, why don't you tell us your ideas and we might be able to yay or nay them.
Yeah, poo-poo.
I like that.
No stakes for us.
Right, okay. So my top three in order. Number 3, roll to miscast, as in we've been miscast. You know, we're not good at our jobs. So that's quite funny.
It's funny because it's true.
Yeah. Number 2, rolled and missed.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And number 1, just massive dicks and aggressive tits.
Great, good. Not sure how well that one would do in the old SEO, but
My tits aren't that aggressive. They're party tits. I wouldn't call them aggressive tits.
I think if someone ever did search massive dicks and aggressive tits and it came to our podcast, they'd be thoroughly disappointed.
If it was me, I would be absolutely furious. I've
can't
got an
wait.
interesting anecdote about this actually.
Tits would be very aggressive about it.
When I was a youngster, I had I still have my YouTube page, in fact, but I used to just use it as like a social media. I thought that you just used it to like put your videos on. You put your faces on Facebook, and you put your videos on YouTube, right? And we would just play. I had a barn. We lived on a farm.
Everyone has a barn at home. I mean, come on, guys.
And we just had all these hay bales in there because one time my dad like wanted us to like have a working farm, but then he never actually did anything with them. So we just had all these hay bales in the barn, and we would just play on them all the time because I was only about like 13, 14 at the time. And we used to just take videos of ourselves, and I called one of these videos Hay Bale Sex.
Excellent.
And it's got like 10,000 views. But like it's got like hundreds of dislikes because everyone is furious that nobody is actually having sex.
This is not as advertised.
So I'm like privated all of my videos of when I was prepubescent because I think it's a bit creepy.
Yeah, probably for the best. Oh, I wasn't sure if this was just like a long-winded plug for your own YouTube channel.
No, it's not. No one's going to ever find out.
And you'll be able to find Hay Bale Sex over at...
I mean,
Hay Bale Sex.
If people never watch this, they will go away from this and search Hay Bale Sex to see what happens.
You won't find it. I've privated them all. No.
And they will leave. They will leave a terrible, scathing review on that video.
Oh my god.
It is not as...
Maybe this is what we need. We weaponize our community once we have one to go and like the video until it's no longer heavily disliked, and then you've won.
Yeah, when you get some positive engagement on it.
I think because I've got so many views, I actually am a more successful channel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there are 16,000 views I've got on our videos.
We may have to misname some of our videos to get them.
Hey, well,
if we just release every video with the title Hay Bale Sex, we will tap a whole new market. Maybe that should be the name of the podcast.
I was just about to say, I feel like we've named our podcast.
Hay Bale Sex. I don't think that would be allowed.
It certainly sells. Sells the one.
It would sell, but everyone will be furious. But I do actually like Rolled and Missed, and I like Rolled to Miscast as well.
Yeah, Miscast.
I think the Miscast is good. I like Rolled and Missed, but I feel like it doesn't have any tie-in to any kind of indication of content, whereas at least Miscast comes with the...
Vague. Nice and vague, broad appeal, you know.
Yeah.
People
love when things are named confusing and mysterious titles.
Get the engagement going.
We could call it Having a Conversation.
That would be extremely boring.
But definitely number 1's a misnomer.
Talking to people about stuff.
Roll to miss to roll.
Yeah.
Too fast, too furious.
Electric boogaloo.
We could just come up with a different name every podcast. We could just rename it every time. Then We can rename it every time, and then after like 100 episodes, we'll see which name did the best, and then that'll be the name.
It will be 100%
After about 50, it'll be Hail Bale Sex.
One of them will have to be Hey Bale.
Hey, Bale
Hail Bale
Sex.
Sex.
Anyway, that's
Hey, Bale Sex. Like,
hey, comma.
Yeah.
yeah.
Those are my ideas. Tell me yours.
Bye, Grace. Are you still there?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Oh, okay, he's just gone invisible.
Is he just being dramatic?
He's just been
Okay.
shy.
So, I don't think anyone needs any more ideas. I came up with Hey Bale Sex.
Yeah,
So,
and I wouldn't dare to try and challenge that.
I think Optimus Miscast is a good name.
Optimus Miscast is my favourite, so
Yes.
therefore it's the best.
Yes. And the name of this podcast. God has spoken.
Yeah,
What's
that's
God's name?
God's opinion.
He's not weighed in on anything though.
He was just asking what we were doing. He's too busy and important for us. Basically,
like a universe to run. To be fair.
And also a Newcastle match to follow.
What else would God be doing?
That's a different podcast. That's our spin-off football podcast.
who would have thought we would get such a little nugget of information about God? Newcastle fan.
Newcastle.
I feel like if God was really a Newcastle fan, he'd be kinder to them.
Well, he's only recently become a fan, and that's why they're
Right.
finally got trophy.
Wait, I'm taking control because we haven't even got past the intro.
No, I disagree.
Okay,
Well, that's how we roll. Okay.
that's how we
And Miss.
and then.
And this.
So basically today I'd like us to talk about some perhaps D&D news, perhaps a little bit of politics even. And later on in the video we are going to, or in the podcast rather, we are going to talk about our plans for the future and some stuff that we've got in the works, so get ready for that.
And I'm pretty sure Will said if we get 10,000 likes on this, he will hang a ball out. So,
Yeah, go for it, Ross.
you know.
I don't think he said that. So Christopher, I thought that you had some news to share with us.
Yeah, all across the news. So one of the major pieces of news coming out of the TTRPG space this week is, of course, Dungeon Master Christopher Perkins saying he's going to retire from the D&D lead after 28 years of working at the company, which is either an ominous sign of things to come or a positive step for him in the right direction. Well, remains to be seen. I was wondering what you guys' thoughts on Christopher Perkins was, that we all obviously know and love very much as, you know, TTRPG nerds.
Yes, I suppose we do know exactly
We know
who he
all
is.
that.
Yeah, I mean, you know, he's a well-famous writer and
Is
lead
it-
designer on the D&D books and everything. So, you know, he's
Is
big,
it
big,
a case of him running from a sinking ship, or is he
Well,
depressed?
that's the question, isn't it? Because
Is it-
obviously this
is
D&D
it all
2025 hasn't been a
Hello?
massive hit as much as they wanted, was it? The new release of the new edition hasn't been quite as big a hit as they were expecting. And
Mm.
is he just getting out? Is he the first rat to leave the sinking ship?
Is he? How old is
Is
he?
it Hasbro's fault? That's what we need to discuss.
Has
he
Yeah, they...
over.
What?
Hmm.
He's been around a long time. I mean, everyone who's watching this probably definitely knows who he is. He's a DM on many, many live streams. One of the lead designers on the game. One of the lead writers and creator of Baldur's Gate and everything. So he's a big boy.
Well, I suppose it's very sad, and it could mean a lot of changes for the game if they bring someone in who's got a much different vision.
Yeah.
For one, I'm not totally opposed to changing creative ideas, even though like people get upset when the thing they liked isn't like how they liked it before, especially the neurospicy people didn't like that very much. You mentioned God.
You just gotta ask yourself, is D&D gonna get woke now, you know?
Oh yeah, we would hate it if the gays arrived. No, joking.
We would hate it if there was more, you know, representation, and
Yeah, we would hate it if it was queer as
That would be awful.
that wouldn't be fabulous.
I actually read a really good book. I can't remember who it's by, but it was something like Made to Slay, and it was about like the queer history of D&D and how it's like really good for queer people to just like be themselves and
Cool.
also be other versions of themselves in a world where they're
Turns
not
out-
limited on.
Roleplay is very, very good for you.
Express themselves in all the ways.
So that was quite nice and lovely. So if you can find that book, something about Slay, it's small, it's purple, and it's got a sword on the front. That's
And if the writer of that book wants to sponsor us and send us a few £100, then
called We Came to Slay.
I don't think
what
that's
it's
how sponsorships work. You don't do the promo and then ask for the money afterwards.
Hey, we promoted you.
yeah. I mean, I've just had a nice glass of wine. If Wire Out Cove want to sponsor us as well, that'd be good.
So,
I'm joking.
called They Came to Slay, the queer culture of D&D.
Make sure those are two separate sentences, not we came to slay the queer culture.
Probably
We came to slay, colon.
I'm sure
We
they
came to
did
slay
like one.
colons.
that is part of the culture.
Very cool.
Anyway, so
Enlightening reading.
back to what Chris was saying. Will, what are your thoughts about the big boss leaving?
Yeah, I feel like a
Right.
lot of big creative types, when they leave their company, they move to a different company that does something similar, but with a bit more creative control to steer things in the direction they want. So I'd be interested to see what comes out of that. I've only really ever, as far as like proper true TTRPG games, played D&D, but I'm looking at some point to properly try and branch out and try some of the other fun ones that are out there. So maybe this could be an option if he does decide to go for something new.
Pathfinder might be about to get a huge boon.
There's
I've
also,
heard really good things about Pathfinder.
there's also the old one which Malazan was based off.
There's loads of new indie TTRPGs coming out all the time. You see them on Blue Sky and things like that. So everyone, make sure you have a look out for those. Maybe we'll play a few of them. Smaller ones.
Yeah,
That's
I think
cool.
it's an exciting time for other IPs, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Completely.
Mine
D&D's
was-
loss is everyone else's gain, right?
yeah.
Well, I hope it just doesn't mean the death of the community as a whole, because that would be really sad. We're just getting into it.
We're quite tenacious.
The
aren't we?
thing is, like with D&D, you can just take it and run with it. The community do that a lot. So
Yeah.
one way or another, it will survive.
Yeah.
Oh, well, or we could do Leslie Tiller. That's a reference from Hot Fuzz. You know, when she's like, I move into a different place, and she's like the best gardener. She helped put Sanford on the map.
And then we murdered her.
On her shears.
So
That was what we should do.
kill him before we leave.
Yeah, if we can't have him, no one can.
Yeah.
Seems Bailey's.
That's
Can't kill Chris Perkins. He's an icon.
We can't have him.
Those heathens over at Pathfinder.
On a similar but slightly unrelated topic, Project Sigil, that they also released recently and then cut all of the staff and is now not being developed any further.
So, can you talk to us a bit about what Project Sigil is?
Just in case anyone
Of
at home
course.
isn't aware, obviously we're all up to date, but if anyone
Yeah,
out there
of
at home
course.
isn't sure.
Yeah, I know. I signed all you guys up for this, and obviously we haven't done it because we can't. So it was going to be the 3D virtual tabletop for you to have a game of Dungeons and Dragons online together as friends, with it looking a lot like a video game, i.e. Baldur's Gate. So you would be able to move your characters around, have them shoot each other, much like we do on Roll20, but in a 3D virtual world. Right as it was released in beta testing, they've sacked off of the people developing it and cut it. So it's gone, seemingly, as of right now. So
That is
we can't do
strange.
that, guys.
There feels like that's like a reasonably sized niche that would really love that. Like I feel like online D&D is a bigger and bigger thing, and having a proper virtual 3D tabletop would be great.
Well, yeah, they reckon 12 million people played 2014, but then 60 odd million people played Baldur's Gate 3. So they were hoping to capture some of that new Baldur's Gate 3 audience, and then they were like, nah, let's not do that. Bye, everyone.
What were you going to say, Dave?
Actually, trying to get friends together in person is never easy, especially when people live further and further apart. So why not give people access to that?
You know, and see if like a couple of friends of the friend group were going somewhere like Thailand or something, then it would have been really nice to be able to play with each other across the seas in a virtual space.
And we've never actually played in person before, all four of us. Anyway,
True. Although,
even though we do live in the same country.
That is the hope, though. Before you all go
Another
away.
consideration is just the way that it's so. Even if you do have a lot of D&D players in your area, it is so difficult to find people who want to play regularly and people who can commit, and also people who you vibe with as well. Like, you do want to be able to broaden it out, and a massive drawback of doing it online is how shitty the graphics are. So it would have just been so perfect. It's frustrating, but I actually do think, I've got nothing to back this up, I think that they'll do it in a few years. I think that it's just going to be...
Well, as you said, the more and more people move to online, the more inevitable it becomes.
Maybe the metaverse will take it up.
Yeah.
You can play with the Zuck.
As we were saying, D&D's lost maybe someone else's game, but they've set the groundwork for these sorts of things. Pathfinder might come around and be like, well, this was a good idea, let's do it and make it better. And
if you're not going to do it...
Yeah, I think they massively dropped the ball there, because I think so many people who never played D&D before did play Baldur's Gate, and if they could see it as a similar type of thing as Baldur's Gate, then they'd get loads of people playing.
Yep, I for one was very excited to give it a try. I didn't have high hopes for maintaining a game in the long run, just because people were like, well, I may as well just play Baldur's Gate. But I think it had promise, and...
I think that's... Yeah, you might as well play Baldur's Gate, but it's not the same game.
No.
It's not the same thing at all. I wouldn't rather play Baldur's Gate. I like the social element. I like the creative element.
Well,
I know that parts of Baldur's Gate can be creative, but it's not. It is following the story, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's still on a set path, whereas this is obviously creating your own sandbox and making things look pretty.
Story every time. You don't branch out with new missions and new tasks to do.
So yeah, you're right.
I mean,
You're right.
yeah, everything that's been said is very valid, but Baldur's Gate is also fucking like, realistically, everything you've said is right, but there's so much depth to it.
And that's why it's such a shame that they were going to put them together, and now they're not.
Yeah.
Too Long didn't read.
As of right now, they are not. As far as the last thing I read, but you know, these things can change.
Too Long didn't read. We hate that this has happened. It's not a good idea. They should definitely capitalise on this. It's the time to strike is a year ago. Yes.
Yeah. I think if they don't capitalise on it, someone else will. So I just look forward to when that happens, because it'll be less entangled.
Our research together. I've heard that Will's got enough money to get a Google Plus account.
He is raking it in.
Oh yeah. Well, when everyone else is in education-based lines of work, it's not that difficult to be a high earner. Have
you ever thought about being a teacher? No.
Thought about it and decided not to do that.
I did it for 6 years and never again.
That's where Will and I met. Or was that work?
Oh yeah, I did know that actually.
Yeah.
Goodness. Extra little droplets of lore for you guys.
All the lore.
You can one bit at a time. Yeah, I'm wondering how many people have worked out that me, God, and Dave are all in the same place.
I don't believe it.
Don't say it out loud. I was going to wait till at least
a little green bubble goes up every time all of them speak.
I think by the fact that Dave's always muted and yet we can hear him, it's slightly suspicious.
When that green bubble happens.
It's the power of God.
The power of the God.
This is working through me in mysterious ways.
It's up to the audience to work out what the relationships between me, Dave, and God are. I'm just gonna... I
think Dave and God are sleeping together.
Are we a throuple?
It's pretty religious experience.
Together.
And there is a sassy housemaid.
I'm the housemaid. I'm
Basically Nanny Poppins.
I also wanted to bring up an angle on Trump's tariffs that perhaps most people haven't considered, which is the effect on tabletop games and also role-playing games, because that is the most important thing that we all care about. Not for us necessarily. We're in England. Obviously, whatever happens to the American economy will severely affect us. But especially for like businesses in America who use like China to produce cards for like Magic the Gathering and like clickety clacks for D&D and all these different things, and even like just book producing and things like that for manuals.
Like clickety clackety math rocks.
Yeah, all of it's in China, so I think the prices for a lot of these things are just going to go way up, and it might even just make it inaccessible for quite a lot of people.
Sounds like the ideal kind of time for someone to have some sort of virtual space
I was literally just going to say.
Online.
Yeah.
And then there would be like some sort of rolling system built in, and then that would be able to determine what happens, and it would be all part of the same price package, so that you wouldn't have to, be affected by the price raises. But obviously that won't be, and
Yeah, no, I don't think the technology exists.
fine.
No, I don't think there's a market.
Well, they can just produce it themselves in America. But I was reading an article today, and they were saying there's basically not the bloody infrastructure there, so it is going to directly affect us. We should care about politics, get off your asses, and vote, because it does affect you, even if you're a sweaty nerd in your basement.
Absolutely.
Like us.
Hey, this is the kitchen, actually, not the basement.
We don't have a basement.
We live in a flat. We can't afford a basement because of the economy.
We can't afford a couple relationship.
No, you've got
Those are hard to afford.
To be in a couple these days.
Yeah, got to bring in a third.
You got to bring in a third, babes.
Yeah, unfortunately, Chris took that the wrong way and had a baby, which actually costs him more.
Yeah, you've gone all the wrong way, mate. Go on.
We literally have a third. He's great.
Dave, what do you think about the tariffs and how it will affect our gaming?
I believe that it's going to make buying my next pair of dice or set of dice very difficult. And I'm just going to have to go straight to China and get them to manufacture it for me.
Well, to be fair, what would you guys move?
Yeah.
Like, your move is going to make it arguably maybe better.
Yeah, on a personal level, I think it won't affect us directly because we live in the UK and we haven't made any tariffs against China. I think it will have an impact on the market overall because the majority of people who play are American, right?
I have a solution.
What's your solution?
Very, very, very simple solution. What everyone does is everyone goes outside and they pick up a rock and they get a marker pen and they write the numbers 1 to 20 around the rock.
I have
and then they play with that.
Very accurate.
We could just sack it all off and play with conkers, couldn't we?
Yeah. Oh, everyone has naked wrestles. And the winner of the naked wrestle determines the outcome of the social scenario.
I like that sound of that. It sounds good to me.
I like it too. Anyway,
in person, and therefore the issue.
I'm just coming up with ideas. I'm just an ideas guy. And I don't know what the X's and the O's.
well, we could be like, guess the number that's in my head, and if you get it right, I'll call you.
Are you wrong again? I guess that's a quit.
Yeah, no, a real solution though is obviously probably support buying the official release and things, but you can definitely play a lot of TTRPG friend games just with friends with a piece of paper with some rules you find for free on the internet and just theatre of the mind and cut back on the rolling so much and just let things happen. That is obviously combat provides some logistical issues, but then everyone has a phone and there's free dice rolling apps on there. So you can definitely get around it with just some friends and a piece of paper and a dream.
Yeah, and I know that the value of the cards in some of these are quite a lot, but I reckon that if you really wanted to play, the companies probably could just release like versions of the cards that you can buy to print out yourself, and you could just laminate them. And if you're buying them to play, not to collect, that's an option as well.
I think they definitely could, but I think a lot of, especially trading card games, have moved. They've realised it's much more profitable for like enforced scarcity than actually building them to have people play the decks in an easy and manageable way.
I think I was more thinking about if people wanted to play for a reasonable price. I reckon that wouldn't really affect the scarcity issue because they're still they're not actual cards that people would want to buy, right? If they're just a laminated piece of paper.
I think the worry for me with it all is that naturally with this, that prices are going to rise, which I think realistically, broadly speaking, most things like, you look at D&D manuals, they're so expensive. They're a real investment, and if that goes up even more, I don't know that the audience is going to be there to meet those prices, and I worry that it might cause a kind of falling off of the industry.
Again though, like I was saying, there are a lot of smaller, cheaper, independent publishers out there, and they are advertising on things like Blue Sky and Threads and stuff that aren't, adverts on the telly and things. So if people look for them, the games are there and they are free and they are cheap. So like we said about the Sigil thing and even Chris Perkins leaving, it might be bad for the bigger ones, your Pathfinders, your Dungeons and Dragons, your Warhammers, but it might be a blessing in disguise for some of the smaller indie developers who just have a one-page storyline for you to follow. And
that's a good point. Just going on from what Will was saying, specifically for D&D, I know that there's other ones that are cheaper. It will make it more exclusive. Maybe the clientele of people who will be able to play will be quite different. It'll be inaccessible to some of the groups that have relied on it as a source of solace, which is a shame, right? It will change the game quite a lot, I believe.
But I think that people will just move away from
That's what I mean.
official.
That's what I'm saying, but the game D&D itself will become this exclusive.
But okay, what
place.
happens when
basically a streamed only, online only game that people watch people play on the internet, but then go away and play other stuff?
but people homebrew all the time.
Yeah.
I think that people will just continue to homebrew.
Yeah,
consistently. Unfortunately, while I totally support buying all the official products,
if it's too expensive,
people will just download legally.
This is the thing, it will have an impact on the industry because people won't be able to afford to buy stuff.
People will be finding
the prices will have to go up because the production cost will go up.
I think that with a game that is so theatre of the mind, imagination based, etc., it's really hard to force people to buy.
And also part of the enjoyment for some people for D&D is buying the little minis and buying the little things and getting the books and everything. Yeah,
we love playing in person with minis and getting customized minis and all that, and all the prices for everything unfortunately will go up. And do you think it's fair that people living across the world should have to do this because one person decides it's a good idea? I don't necessarily, but we're not running the world ourselves, are we?
No, and this obviously has been a very specific angle on the TTs, the Trump tariffs.
Titties.
That's not the TT.
We'll call them the titties, shall we?
I want to go on record as saying TT in TTRPG is tabletop, not Trump's Tariffs. It's not the Trump's Tariffs RPG, although that is a pretty fun game that I might invent and sell right now.
Let's play that.
Tariff RPG. It's basically Monopoly.
Monopoly, but with more dragons.
Yeah. God's sake, God. Yes, I'm aware it is a very serious issue, but I thought I would make it into more D&D-fied by channeling it. I got information from an article which I will link in the description.
Can you not just read it out in full now?
Read out the full URL.
www.polygon.com/table-552-558/tabletop panic tariffs on China, layoffs, bankruptcy, gamma. That's it.
Perfect.
Beautiful. We should do more segments where we just read out URLs of things, I think.
I'm sure there's a massive target audience for that.
Well, we are getting towards the end of our
only URLs
time. Only URLs left.
Hello, it's Editing Eleanor here. The dragon video that I'm talking about in this section of the video has already gone out. Please go to the video. It's called Watch Us Kill Each Other ... with dragons. We made that during the Dragon Week. We really enjoyed it, and we hope that you do too. That was our premiere video. We were planning to get this one out beforehand, but we never actually managed it, so just imagine that we're talking in the past tense for the next few minutes. Thank you.
I would like to bring up that the week beginning 21st to 25th of April, we are going to be having a Dragon Week. Which means what, Christopher? This is your area of expertise.
The entire internet is going to be having a Dragon Week, Helena. You see, obviously, it's Ginny D and Pointy Hat, much bigger creators than us, have got together and established this Monster Week at the last week of April every time, and this time it's Dragon Week. So look out for lots of dragon-based content from all across YouTube, TikTok, and everywhere like that.
We've got something in the works ourselves.
We have.
And it will definitely be out on time.
Between the four of us,
We can actually get that organised.
Sporadic brains. We can actually pump it out in time for April 2025.
But that would be great because it's April 2025 now, and that would be great.
That or April 2026, we've got a great video coming.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, wait.
And you'll find that my
thought we
hair
had
length
dragon
changes
yesterday.
quite a lot between videos, but I just am variable. It's not because we recorded these things in a year apart or anything.
Just
Get to the
wear
best
your
way.
clothes and be more consistent, you'll be fine.
Yeah. We've got more podcast episodes. I'm going to be editing this week some stuff that you've already seen. Okay.
Time
Yeah.
We
is an
all
illusion.
financial beings.
And in the future, you'll see the stuff we've done in the past that we're talking about in the present.
Yeah, you will.
We
So
should
there you
save
go.
one video we've done and just release it like 5 years down the line and just see people's reactions.
Never mention it.
Yeah, never address it.
That's the Hail Base X episode.
The hair sex.
Sorry,
Well,
Hail
You can't wait for this. It's gonna be sexy and
I can't wait till we do our Baldur's Gate 3 playthrough and I'm gonna just call my character Base X and then just whenever I enter it's like, everyone hail Base X.
Absolutely.
Hey,
We have the capacity to do something like that very soon.
Hair sex. I'm going to
That'd
check the
be good.
stats on the hair sex video and see if it's more successful than this channel.
it
I
probably-
mean, currently it will be.
We should definitely do a celebration episode when this channel becomes more successful than Hey Bale Sex.
Yeah.
Like a victory stream.
You say
Before we all
when.
go.
Because hair sex is the best video on the internet, okay?
Before we all go, what's the weirdest thing we've all done on a hay bale?
Had sex.
Will.
I don't know. I played on them one time when I was a kid. There were farms near me. I ain't got much for you, brother.
in my barn.
Yeah, I stuck into Eleanor's barn and messed about with her hay bales, and she never knew.
Even all over.
We basically
Yeah, they were really slimy.
we basically piled them all up and then we climbed them and then we put a massive pit of hay and then we just jumped into the
Yeah.
hay.
There was a farm I lived near that did something very similar. It had like rope swings and stuff, and it basically was just giant soft play bit, but with hay. It was a good time. I loved it.
I went to a music festival once where the stages were, the seating of the stages were hay bales. So
Oh yeah, we did actually. I've held an owl on a hay bale.
I have. Yeah.
That's a strong contender.
that is a strong one.
So, Chris, what happened at your music festival?
Nothing I can talk about on the podcast.
Yeah.
Did you smoke on a hay bale?
You can talk about that on the podcast.
So
Oh,
much.
so much. It's too much.
Can't even do it. Next time in our podcast, we will actually have an intro. No, we won't. We've got a name now, but next time we're going to discuss what our intro is going to be. Okay. We're going to have a number of. Yeah, we did. What is the name?
The Roll to Miscast.
Yeah, Roll to Miscast, where we miscast the mist and casters.
Yeah, and we talk about things in the past, the present, and the future.
And
Occasionally, Dave's face appears and then disappears very swiftly.
yes.
Hey.
If you
Right.
liked the video, please like the video. If you would like to comment on what you enjoyed or didn't enjoy, if you don't like the politics element, you can go f*** yourself.
Yeah, if you have any opinions that disagree with us, don't.
Yeah,
Yeah. You're wrong.
you are just. Just know that we hate you.
We constantly have
Personally.
very bad opinions,
Yeah.
and then suck your own peas.
Yeah. Next time I'll think of some good. Maybe we'll keep with the new stuff, but it's quite new this, so we'll decide what we're going to do
As and when.
We're trying stuff out. Throw a load of at the wall and see what sticks.
And on that note,
Thank
I'm
you
going to
for-
go have a
Thank you for listening.
Hey, thank you.
Goodbye, Chris. Bye, everybody.
Goodbye,
Thank you very
everyone.
much, everyone. Goodbye.